have Zushi versus Marlians, and yesterday we had a little pro-analysis, and it was said that Marlians can deal with Sushi. Winston, where do we land on that?
I don't know. We'll find out. I think, I was really surprised with Starflark's, like, not surprised, but like I was impressed by Starflark's like run in this quarterfinal or this qualifier so far. And I'm really excited to see how he plays against Wham. I think this is a tricky matchup, being that higher seed. Wham got Shushi, first picked it, so I'm expecting that it's going to be pretty dominant. But you never know. I think Malians have a lot of tricks up their sleeves. I think Malians can play. Regions, though, is a really tricky map, and it's one that ends up feeling quite decisive when it counts, right? So I'm curious to see how Starflark is going to handle this, and I'm excited to learn. See, maybe the jury's still out on this one, and we'll get some information from Starflark that Malians can be Shishi here. I'd be kind of shocked to see a win, maybe, but we'll see. I'm excited to find that out.
Yeah, especially because we have two players that are possibly considered very unevenly matched here. Wham being a very big veteran, and Starflark, he's honestly just kicking butt right now, but he's
Yeah.
throwing the game on its head. He's not going for those standard types of plays that we've been seeing from people. He's actually doing things a little bit wilder than I think most people prepared for. But Wham is the kind of player who builds walls and protects himself so that your crazy shenanigans does not affect his day. So we'll see if Wham allows something like that. But let's hop on in, guys. I hope everyone is ready because
Ooh,
we have game one.
already jumping in. And here we have it. Jeez, it's happening. It's happening. Good to be back, everybody. Good to be part of this Masters of Steel qualifier. This is the second qualifier, and we have Starflark in this kind of north corner here in the teal, playing as the Malians on regions. And on the south corner, we have Wam01 with Jushi's Legacy. Really, really interesting stuff here. Got some interesting map gens. I'm trying to just check. So, notably for Malians here, you've kind of got these two forward golds, and I think that's going to be just like off the bat. That's kind of one of the things you're going to notice is that's potentially punishable. We'll see if Wham is going to do anything like hyper aggressive. Usually, you don't see immediate aggression out of Jushi, so I'm not expecting anything too crazy here. But maybe something will happen. You never know. You never know. Oh, I love that split screen, by the way. I've been watching this tournament, and it's just I love it. It's so cool. It's really nice to see the sheep war, especially because it is so impactful to the game's flow in the early stages, right? How many sheep you get, you can already see Wham with a slight advantage there in the early scouting patterns. We'll see if Starflark's able to pick up any sheep beyond that. But yeah, no, interesting stuff so far. Cool to see. I love that split screen. It's that innovation.
Yeah, no, we took a little note here from Cal and we were like, hey, let's make this thing happen. And it works. But honestly, it gives us a little bit of insight that I think scares us. Because when I look at this, and when I look at this poor man and the lack of vision that we're getting, or lack of sheep we're getting over here, it does feel a little bit Monka-esque to be in that scenario, right? Like Starflark already starting off with a lot less than his opponent. Let me just switch these bad boys around so we can see them on the right sides. Starflark definitely is going to struggle because with Malians, what they do really well is pump out units with gold and lots of food, especially when you get to that pro scouting that everybody gets to do these days. But Zushi does it just a little bit better. Now, what a lot of people have been doing to shut down the pro scouts is just to go for a few horsemen, but Malians usually has an answer to that, and that's just their standard scouts. The thing is just, you need to have the food to actually make those units, and right now, as we can see, guys, it doesn't look like he's going to have that level of food.
Yeah, it depends on how Wham's going to round out his scouting pattern. Usually you expect if you have this many, that your opponent went to the other side of the map and got an equal amount. Like Wham doesn't have so many right now that he should feel like he has a ton. So we'll see if he dedicates his scout towards trying to find them on the right side. They sort of both favored left side in that opening, so there should still be quite a few sheep on the right side by the berries and in between the berries and Wham, and you can see just there that Starflark is going to be picking those up. So it should end up feeling somewhat fair. And where's this meditation gardens getting placed down? Because that's pretty relevant to see what resources Wham has prioritized. So yeah, double gold and the berries. So notably no wood on that one, but the double gold is going to feel really, really solid, I think. And it's going to be kind of difficult, I think, to really shut down this meditation gardens and come with anything. Yeah, it's going to be tricky.
Especially because Malians is not a civ that can pump out too quickly. They also need a little while to get going. A lot of Malians don't do that very early aggression, and I think Zushi is just a civilization that punishes that, because the moment you let Zushi do their thing, they get to, you know, control the pace of the game. And I think with that passive gold you get from both of these, Zushi not just getting the tax gold, they're also going to be drowning in upgrades behind all this. So once getting that professional scouts has been acquired, they don't even need to pull off. They're perfectly they can pull off because they have the 2 golds bringing them income very, very happily. So we'll see what Mr. Starflark decides to go for, but I'm not going to be surprised if we just see the standard old pro scouts coming from both of these players.
Yeah, it seems like both these civs tend to be able to play that quite well, right? And even after the nerfs, they've been still quite competent at the strategy. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see just prof scouts for both, and we already see it coming in. Like it's going to be, it's pretty expected at this point, with especially with Sushi. So not really surprised at all by Wham's choices.
Now the difference is, with him being on Zushi, he's going to get scouts out so much faster. Oh, if he was going to supervise, never mind. He's just supervising his pro-scouting tech, which makes a lot of sense. He's going to get those scouts into position so that they can easily go and snack. Now we do see he goes for the small deer packs first. Not going to be doing any, I don't want to jinx it, but not going to be doing any aggressive yoinking just yet. But his first scout does seem to be heading that way, and honestly, it would probably be the best move here, because Malians, they will take a while to get those pro scouts going, and he goes for the barracks first, trying to go and shut down the pro scouts, which honestly I wouldn't have predicted. Usually a bunch of people would just opt for getting the scouts upgraded to actually deal with the Chinese pro scouts, or Zushi's pro scouts in this scenario.
Yeah, the Malian scouts tend to be pretty good, but maybe it's just a matter of timing here. Maybe it's a matter of price point on upgrading all those scouts, like he said, without really having to invest too much into the food. The Danso's a bit cheaper to get and a little bit better at zoning, but that is going to mean the heist is on here for Wham. Even stealing 1 here, it's a big swing in food, right? Like, if both players are going prof scouts and you're able to steal even just 1 scout or 1 deer from your opponent's, like guaranteed deer like this, that's a major swing in food, right? So excited to see how this plays out. Wham already making the Jugnu, so it's going to be a nice answer to a couple of the early Dansos.
And it does look like the pro scouts are coming through for Starflark now, but he's on 1 scout, and that man is a little bit bruised at the moment. So even if he does get it, he's going to be struggling.
He does his table.
Oh, he doesn't.
Oh, sorry.
He does? He does? No. Oh, there we go.
No, he does. Yeah, he does
Just
have a stable. We could see the scout upgrade coming in. I was like, is he really just knocking out a stable? But he did have one. I was like, okay, he does. So more scouts are on the way. But yeah, it feels a little slow, especially. But we'll see if the spear tempo is there. The move speed is really slow, going to force the drop. Interesting stuff, Whamen.
It feels like, I just wanted to say that the pro scout change they made to actually make it deniable is so wonderful. It allows you to actually punish something like this, and I think Wham knew it was going to be punished. So getting out the Jugunu at this time, perfectly planned here. And the fact that Starflark also doesn't have any units to handle these Jugunu just yet is going to mean that this is going to be pretty easy pickings for him for now. And I think Starflark is trying to be a little bit more conservative with this, because if he does send out all of his scouts to go and try and deny the pro scouting from the small packs, he's most likely going to lose some of them. Or he's just going to miss out on more food on his side. As we saw, Wham is very comfortable yoinking 1 here or there. But now, the pump has begun, and there's already a bunch of units on the map. Oof.
Yeah, notably, Wham's going for that full try setup already. He's got the Horseman, Spear, Jugnu all set up to pump, and that's an interesting like opening here. Already having everything, and the Malians, only with the Danso Jav, that's kind of a classic combo that's been going on since the beginning, really, of Malians. The Danso Jav setup is really reliable and solid, but it does have some weaknesses. Namely the mobility that the Horsemen from Wham are going to offer. So we'll see if there's an answer to that mobility at some point.
You can see this scout is trying to get some damage on the Jugunus as well, but it is so hard to do. And Wham is just kind of everywhere, as we see with Zushi. Now I do have eyes on the scout that is busy doing some of the yoinking, so we can see that even through all of this, Wham feels comfortable enough to send the boys out there and getting the rest of the reinforcements to go there too, to try and put some aggression on here. Because the numbers don't lie, and Starflark is going to be in trouble pretty soon. As we can see, already almost 10 Jugunu on the map, lots of spears, so he's going to need to trade very well, and Wham is going to need to make a lot of mistakes to actually fall behind from here, especially with a lot of food that is still at his disposal.
Yeah, how many deer do we have on each player at this stage? I think from what I can track, it seems that Wham has picked up just way more. It's got to be way more. Yeah, it looks like a lot more.
Yes, and you can see that
Yeah,
villagers now, they realize we're not going to have access to the gold for too long, so he recognizes that level of aggression, and that came with a lot of food, right? So we'll see if he's going to be able to get some resources for himself. There is still a few deer under the TC, so he should still be alright, but for now, he is just going to be on the defense.
Yeah, and interestingly, Wham's kind of centralized his forces onto this pit mine, and we talked about the forward pit mine as we loaded in, and this could become a pretty major weakness. If the javelins, though, they're going to have the TC to help protect them, and they do have that longer range, so they should be able to hold back the forces of Wham for a brief period of time, but it is a bit scary that Jugnu mass up to 14, if they are able to all get into this position, Wham's larger military, I mean, he's got 28 to 12 in terms of build pop, right? Like, this is a major force he has on the field. If he's able to concentrate everything, this could get really dicey for Starflark really quickly. He's going to that other gold, and they're pretty far away, so the rotation speed between these two pit mines is going to be a little bit of a trick that Starflark's going to have to manage, right? Like, keeping both pit mines safe. It's got villagers essentially exposed on the right. If Wham just went for that right now, he could get a village too.
The funny thing is, we've seen Starflark's military usage, and he sometimes is a select all army hotkey kind of guy. So making sure you do not click that button and move them away is going to be dire here. And I laugh because this is something I do, especially when I'm starting to panic. But when I start seeing a ram with this many Jugunu, I will probably be pressing that button in all circumstances. We see the villagers trying to get every bit of resources they can, and you guys can now see he starts to get upgrades. But unlike Wham, he could not keep producing constantly. Those production buildings were idle for quite a while. He does pull them back just in time, and the Jugunus are going to try to get a few cheap shots. They've been shift-clicked, and the spearmen are not in position to protect them. The horses will get a little bit close, and it does quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Starflark just with not enough here. I'm struggling to see where it's going to come together. What's the plan? What's the eventual like situation that he's looking for? What's the good outcome? And it doesn't seem like there's many options at this point, right? He's got a couple resources banked, but I'm not even sure what you spend it on right now. Like, you just need more production buildings. You need more units out to match Shishi's tempo here. It's the only way you're going to keep up. And like we said, Wham won the scout war pretty handily with Prof Scouts, so he's got way more food to work with. You can see that represented in the income. This is going to be brutal. This might be the game right here. Like,
when Zushi gets to this point where they can spot where all your villagers are, and I mean, he's getting between all of them. They're outside on the map. He's got the mobile army here. Villagers have just given up on life, standing there all to die. It looks like the javelin throwers are able to pick off a bunch of these Jugunus, but at the cost of now 5 villagers. The problem is just these horsemen are going to be able to get on top of these, and there's not enough Donzos to actually help them. We can see the horses actually diving a little bit into the TC range, but this is also just causing more idle time for Starflark. And unlike normal Malians, we do not have a cow boom yet, so poor Starflark will not be getting any advantages from the usual Malian economy. And with Wham now aging up, this is going to be the nail in the coffin.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's just crazy. He's got two rams on the field while one's half built. He's got a much larger military. The berries, I mean, looks like there's just a little bit of berries and deer left. And then what is Starflark really working with here? He's got no food in the back of his base, so it's all or nothing here on the berries.
The problem here for him is these are also cattle, so these are things that he had to produce himself, knowing
for it. Yeah.
That poor pro scout tech that he got definitely did not pay off for him too much, because Wham was just everywhere. We can see the villagers trying to get a little bit of gold here as well, and villagers eating every bit of those cows. But now Starflark knows his days are numbered, because with that age up coming through, we are going to be seeing some very, very strong units coming his way. No upgrades are queued just yet, but we'll see what the upgrade of choice is going to be for Mr. Wham, and it is the horseman.
Yeah, getting Vet Horseman makes a lot of sense here. All that's really left on the field for your opponent is this Javelin Mass, right? So I'm not really sure what else you need to worry about. 3 Dansa isn't enough. Interesting, just upgrade the Mass. Probably going to see some Knight production behind this. Well, right now it's just some Shaolins to grab the relics. Keep it clean. Wham's playing this really solid. Just playing very, very clean. Very, very clean. And we don't even see Wheelbarrow yet from Starflark, so things are really slow to run away from these Horseman raids at this stage of the game. It's just not really an option to be without that, and here we have it. That's got to be it, right? Like, what? You have no access to gold, no res, nothing's left. Just a dream.
He's already dead, Worm. But you can see Starflark is macroing up to castle himself. Kind of hoping something magical will come out of it. But it just doesn't look like he is going to survive until that point. We can see Wham now actually going a little bit deeper with the Jugunu upgrade coming in as well. The Javelin throwers are doing their best. Great base damage, but not great enough to actually continually trade well. He does snipe off a few of these. The Horsemen getting on top of them. Donzos trying to make their way through every time, but the Jugunu don't even care about them. They get right on top and take him out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess if you got to the Poison Jav, the Mansa Javelineer, it could get interesting, right? You get a little bit more mobility, get the poison damage on top. It could give you something to play for here for Starflark. So I understand why you'd stay in the game, especially it's, you know, first game of the series. You don't want to just insta-tap out. That's feels bad. So we'll see, though. But this raid onto the berries on the side, and there you have it. Wham with a decisive game 1. That was very decisive.
Now, Wham makes this look like he was ready for it. Starflark's been playing really well, and I think a lot of people were very surprised in his performance up until now. But Wham showed us exactly what we would expect from a Wham game against someone who is outside the top 16 on ATR. Wham absolutely destroying, and that's to be expected from Wham, right? He's someone who's played the regions enough to be very confident in knowing how far he can push it and when he needs to pull back. So I think the age up as well, the fact that he knows, okay, I can keep doing this, I've already denied all the resources, let me now go and just keep pushing through. What I want to show you though, Winston, is I quickly wanted to look at the bracket before we load into the next one, so that you can tell me what you think about the chances of qualifying for the next part. So,
take a look. Let's take a look.
So you guys will see me bending my head all the way. That is because it's all the way on the other screen. Now, with Wham and Starflark here, we have CS... Oh, no. I think our bracket just gave away something it shouldn't have. Anatan, on the other hand, though, we can see him in the losers bracket. Now, if you think of the 3 big names in the semifinals, Anatan, Wham, and CSO, what are your thoughts here? Do we have a clear 2 going through? Where do you land?
Yeah, in my head, I have a clear 2. I think Wham is very, very clear to you got me there. I think Wham is like a very clear option for just qualifying. I think it's almost surprising that he's not in already, right? So it's like you'd expect him to qualify very, very soon. If not here, then in the next qualifier, right? So that's one. And CSO has honestly been playing so insane. I think the opponents that he had to take out to get to the stage, it's been really impressive. We saw him in the Elite Classic also playing quite well. So I wouldn't be surprised by a strong performance from him.
Now, a lot of people expecting to see Anatan make it through here as well. And I think CSO really showed us that he's not making this any easier for anyone going through here. And honestly, with Wham now up against Starflark, I want to see Starflark doing well. I want to see Starflark at least giving Wham a run for his money. Because Starflark and all these new names like Scatterbrain that we started seeing perform a little bit better, it's very refreshing, because when you're playing a normal tournament, S-tier tournaments, they usually start out with a bracket where you have the seed 16 against seed 1, and you never get to see seed 16 again. They play with their game and they're out. But with these qualifiers, a lot of those top players have already been qualified. So we actually get to see these players playing against one another to get to these higher seeded spots. So, yeah. China versus Rusta. How do we feel?
Well, two very solid civs. So I'm pretty happy with that matchup. I'm excited to see how it goes. I think Starflark has a real chance here. We saw some interesting games with Wham yesterday, even against Scatterbrained, where at times it seemed like mass knights it could be an answer against some of his playstyles, but we'll see. I think that's something that Starflight could bring to the table. Scatterbrain did pick up 2 games against Wham on this path, which is generally surprising, I would say. Right? Not like Scatterbrain isn't deserving of like praise and he did well, but like it's Wham, right? It's one of the top 4 or 5 players, right, in the game consistently. So I think we'll see if that goes. But yeah, Starflark should have seen maybe some options in the recent games to take a game or two off of Wham, and this could be it. It's a really solid Civ in Roos. Really reliable, really
Yeah.
understandable. Lots of options to play in the meta, right?
But my biggest concern here is again the pro scouts. We saw what Wham can do on pro scouts, and yet again he got another
Yeah.
pro scouting civ. That
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see how that goes. So guys, let's hop on in to the next one. Now, ladies and gents, we have our boys standing at the ready. Wham in the red on China. And on the other side, we have Mr. Starflark in the blue, going with that normal old hunting cabin opening. We'll see if it's the double one or the single one, though.
yeah, it was interesting. Last game on the Malians, I was kind of intrigued by Starflark's like response to Pro Scouts. It was to click Pro Scouts, which is a really heavy resource investment, and it takes a while to even get. And then to open barracks as well, anyways, right away, and not have those scouts on the way. I'm intrigued by that like approach. I think it fell a little short here, but that could have been just more about like the map and the distance, right? Because that left corner is really hard for the spears to even get there in time, right? So I'm wondering maybe if on a more standard map, Starflark has been cooking some other options or some other ways to sort of deny the pro scouts play from China slash Jushi. So we'll see. I'm intrigued. I want to see how this goes.
Now, this time it looks a little bit more balanced with the sheep, though. So he does have those base food he can start out with. So with this, at least, we know he's going to be able to produce some units if the time gets to it. The thing is just, though, does he go greedy fast castle? And does Wham have the ability to overwhelm that? Now, with both of these civs being pro scout cived, I'm not expecting Wham to be playing a castle game. I think trying to shut down Rus and stop him from getting the food he needs to, expand is going to be important. And we've seen a lot with the horse archers. There's a lot of control you pretty quickly get. But the problem is just, I feel like China has answers to those because they can just mass so much. So we've also seen a little bit of knight play coming out of Rus pretty early on when they are playing against civilizations like China. So we'll see if that is going to be enough for him here, but if as far as food goes, Wham is a happy camper, but so is Starflark.
Yeah, it's interesting with Starflark. I feel like he has a lot of options for how to approach this game, and that should, in theory, be keeping Wham a bit on edge. And so Wham is going to be feeling, if I'm reading this game correctly, Wham should be feeling the need to kind of scout and stay on top of whatever Starflark is doing. We saw yesterday, Wham played a really nice game where he kind of had that 8-minute FC into the horse archers, and it could be a threat. We see the Golden Gate opting for the flexibility of the resources there for Starflark. We can see a lot of options here, right? They can rush pro scouts, they can try for map control, then get pro scouts. So Roos has a lot of options, and I keep saying that because I want to stress that I feel like that's kind of the important thing to watch this game strategically, is to see, what path is Starflark going to take? How is he going to try and tackle Wham this game? And does Wham understand what's happening, and is he going to just be on top of it? I think he should be, but we'll see. Maybe he'll get surprised.
Now, with Starflark's position here, I'm also thinking about what happens if he ages up. Because we can see woodlines are very, very limited. Zhuganu loving this because they can easily find a little hole to smack your face with at this point. These guys are going to be getting the sidelines, but once they go through these 2 very small patches, I feel like he's going to be in quite a bit of danger. And honestly, Rus is not a civilization that will be able to cope without getting enough wood, especially with them wanting to age up, get a nice little chunk in a safe position for those deer to spawn. He's going to struggle to find that spot here and struggle to make horse archers at that, because when you don't have wood, you do not have horse archers. So let's see if Wham is going to be able to shut this down pretty quickly. He goes for the village instantly. I kind of like to see that. Getting a village and not overcommitting too much on the gold, which is actually telling me he's not... Is he going pro scout, Winston, or are we skipping pro scout completely? We're skipping it.
It could just be a skip here. The deer look a little spread out. Maybe it's tricky to defend, and maybe against Roos, Wham is just thinking otherwise. Maybe he's thinking he has more time to deal with pro scouts, right? Because we're not seeing the rush from Starflark either, right? Like neither player is really focusing on getting this in, and maybe this is something that's come up from practice games and a couple tournament games where in this matchup you just don't rush it. It could be a matter of this map, like you said, trying to defend the wood line might be a more important strategic goal than getting a bit more food. I almost wonder if I would go, if I was Starflark, I almost wonder if I would go Kremlin this game. But
interesting.
like just to help defend the wood, and it gives you more options strategically, but not sure what the plan is for Starflark with the resource. Like he's going for deer. Oh, now he's getting Prof Scouts. Okay, so did he use chargers at the Golden Gate? Probably did. Yeah, he did. He bought the gold.
Now, what's interesting to me here is the fact that Wham is just going full face. And this is one thing that I can definitely see coming from Wham when he's in a position where he feels like he's gonna win this. And with Wham, when he plays against someone like Louis, Marine Lord, Beastie, he's very comfortable sitting back and letting his eco do the talking while keeping his opponent on his toes. But I'm seeing it a very different side of Wham here. He's very proactive, very much on the map, in your face. And this is wonderful, especially when you're up against a civilization that they kind of bank on the idea that you're not going to be punishing them. We see this wooden fortress going to be protecting a side, but easily, you know, it's dodgeable once you get into position. So this is a nice spot to have, but again, the wood lines just make it so much more difficult. It does improve the gathering on all three of these sides, so that will be the bonus, but I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity to actually use that. Now, food-wise, it looks like Starflark is still living a happy life, but he's making a lot of scouts. And the problem is, Wham is making a lot of units.
Yeah, this is where I'm concerned, you know? It's 6:30 and Prof Scouts just finished. And you have no military on the field except for these 7 scouts. So you're really going to see Wham's army coming, but that's about it, right? That's all you're going to get. You're not going to be able to stop it. So Starflark really has to start investing in some units ASAP. And I suppose that's going to be Knight Archer at this point if you don't want to die, right? Like, I guess.
You, at that point, will have no choice. I see him getting survival techniques, but it's just a handful of deer that are making it through. You can see these spearmen are just cutting off scouts left and right. Yeah. They're chasing them down. We're seeing dead scouts everywhere, but also just archers, finally. So he does go for the archers, but if you're up against China with Zhugunu... Oh my goodness. Winston, is this bannable?
Is this gonna be a Barbican forward?
This is going to be a forward Barbican. Is this...
right on the wood line, right? That'll be nice.
He does get some of... Oh, it does get a wood line here, but this man is going to put the game on its head. You can see a few of these scouts trying to make their way back, but Barbican is going to come up. With 2 archers, you are going to struggle shutting this down. There's a knight trying to join the party, but this is Chinese building speed. We know how quickly that happens.
Yeah, there's enough units here just to defend this. It's not the most effective Barbican right now, but like you noticed at the start of the game, Baldland, these woodlines are really small, and this is going to start zoning out a lot of the space. It's kind of why I was thinking about Kremlin just defensively for Starflark here, but yeah, it's kind of awkward, right? Like, where are you going to put your wood line after this? You're going to have to kind of go further north, right? You're going to have to kind of stretch past it, and then there's always going to be this defensive point, and that's assuming Wham doesn't just come in and punch you in the face right here, right? Like, he might be going for a gut punch pretty soon after this. I wouldn't be surprised to see just more units here into Rams even. The Knight gonna try and wrap around, get on top of the Vills, gonna force it away a little bit here, but the Archers, whoa, for Starflark, his Archer micro, I guess he right-clicked the Vills and was just okay to let his Archers go down. Two vills did go down. That knight kind of getting its value, but the Barbican will go up unless more knights are on the way right now. And I don't really see it there for Starflark right now. The one good thing about this form, though, right, as we see on screen right now, so Wham's whole army is here defending this Barbican going up, and it might not even work if the Vill gets sniped Starflark with that play, but he still has 2 scouts on the field, and that does mean a small trickle of prof scouts coming in. The Barbican has been, you know, delayed, at least for now. We'll see if Wham's going to commit more Vills to this. Probably another batch of boys sent to their death, probably. No, well, not to their death, but this will go up. But another bunch of boys sent forward.
Now with Knights, he is definitely able to protect these pro scouts, even if just for that small trickle of food that you mentioned. The problem is just the horseman numbers are also growing. And once this starts getting up, you're going to have a bunch of Jugunu alongside those archers in your base. And the villagers are steadily running here. The problem is just with the numbers that he's bringing, these guys are going to struggle to pick them off. We now see constant archer production, but at the same time, we're going to get up to castle pretty soon.
Yeah, he's going to try and save up for castle here. I don't know how much I like that, because into what, right? What's going to be the play? Kind of low on food right now. The wood line's about to run out, and you'll have to go further north, right? Your opponent now has a way to get an economic advantage over time with Song Dynasty coming in, right? So Chinese going to be building those villas a little bit quicker. So if you have a long feudal here, it's a problem. The high trade house just going to get slapped down. But where? That is the saddest high trade house I think I've ever seen. Is that 3 trees?
I think it might be 2. Give me 1 second. Want to see if there are any more... Oh, no,
there's that tree.
Okay.
There's that tree.
Wonderful.
Then there's a tree to the north, and the one on the south might be clipped into that. But okay, we used to do these gold guess games back in the day when you'd see a high trade house, because it was like every game, and people would guess how much gold it would be. Right? What's your guess here?
5? I don't know how much gold you get per tree, but 4,
I think
5?
I think it has diminishing per tree you add, so it's a little bit less. So it might be like 10 gold.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
He's
as much
cranking
as that.
out some
I
big
think it
numbers.
But that's gotta feel bad. And oh man, Wham with a really solid read here. Just recognizing where can my opponent be weak, where has he been defending, and coming around to the side. Now the good thing about this is that high trade house means he will be able to get some more deer under his TC.
It's 4 trees. Winston, we were wrong. It captures 4 trees. Maybe a few from
that one.
Yeah, then we see some stems here too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay.
Very nice. We'll see that.
20. That which is. Oh, I thought that was the hunting cabin. Yeah. I was like, oh, 20, really? Crazy. Oh, the scout gonna get taken out. Oh no.
And now being down to 2 scouts definitely doesn't feel fun while you are trying to burst scout.
Switching to Man-at-Arms is interesting. It saves on some upgrade costs, which I kind of like. But there's no blacksmith on these Man-at-Arms yet. And so Wham could, in theory, just try and get range attack upgrade. And that could help for a short period of time. But Wham might be thinking about his own castle age at this point.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking about it. Building it all the way at the back here.
Oh,
getting
it's
up with 8. Yeah, no, this man's cooking, Winston. He is ready to be in castle and upgrade those horsemen yet again. He was playing this archer mask problem that he had with the previous game, and he saw how it worked by just getting a bunch of horses upgraded. So we'll see if that's going to be exactly the same play. With the men-at-arms have now been spotted, and we'll see how well they do, but the archers are getting the first upgrade, and Starflark probably wants to take this fight before China becomes fast upgrade China.
Yeah, which they should be coming in pretty soon, but Wham a little short on the gold right now, actually. He's got a couple archers in queue, but there, yeah, I guess he pulled gold vills to age up, which is always awkward, because you need gold once you age up, usually into castle. You need to spend a lot of gold on stuff. But we'll see, I mean, the play, Starflark, I mean, to his credit, is still alive, only 4 vills down, because of the vills that were lost on the Barbican. The lead should be larger with the Song Dynasty, but you know, Starflark able to keep up.
And Starflark...
It's interesting.
Luckily with those archers he did slow this down, but now the problem is that mass of archers are running around and they're going to be faced against 8 horsemen. We see that Wham also getting his archer upgrade now too, so he's going to be a very happy camper trying to find these boys, but definitely taking a very big risk running around knowing that there are horsemen out in the field, but they do find a different connection instead, and some villagers on the gold will be impaled.
I always say ow because I have a very visceral feeling when I see that. Like, I feel the pain of that because it's just like, really? 30 gold per minute, 4 trees.
Wow.
That's
I'm
actually,
impressed.
hey, half a relic.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
It's
not as bad, right? Like, and it is spawning the deer, right? Like,
all things
yeah.
considered, it could have been worse. I don't know how much worse, but he could have put it here, you know?
That would have gotten a couple, maybe. I'm not sure. Not sure. It's tough. It's tough. We're not laughing at the player here, right?
No, no, no.
It's an unfortunate situation that led to this, right? It's tricky.
That's,
Oh, this raid coming around the back as well. The Starflark, good reaction there. Still no wheelbarrow though, so those vills are super slow. Actually, no ecotechs at all.
every bit
And
of
his
gold.
man-at-arms getting cleaned up.
Every bit of gold he had was used to age up and get men-at-arms, and now knights, but losing all of these and getting that idle time on the eco is just going to make this so much worse. And yeah, I just want to focus on the fact that you must see that Starflark, it's not about him making a mistake, it's about Wham forcing these issues. Wham is absolutely just putting Starflark in a little box and he's like, watch me. Starflark is not going to be able to keep up with what Wham is throwing because Wham has done this too many times. And Starflark, he's going to need a few more games like this to be able to handle this type of pressure on the map.
Yeah, we're seeing that switch into the Cab Archer now, right? To kind of go with the rest of his army, but it's a bit awkward, right? His full force is still quite immobile. You can see it here, like on full display, right? Like man-at-arms, like mixing in the horse archer, it doesn't really work well. Like, you know, it's if you're able to get some moments of just pure mobility, but I think at this point he just needs ranged units in the main mass to support the man-at-arms. So it's kind of awkward. Maybe crossbows could be better to deal with the knights, but we'll see. Wham's military only 10 units ahead. So if taking a localized fight, maybe Starflark could get a good fight, but the villagers once again caught. They're trying to return home from the berries, but so many more go down. It's just been bleeding vill after vill in these small engagements.
And it just feels like every single time Starflark feels, okay, I have a position here that I can go back to, he is caught out yet again. Now, Starflark is able to clean up some of these horsemen here, but definitely not something you want to be trading against right now, because you're trading villagers for that army that you're now sending around trying to shut this down. I don't know what Starflark's comeback thought is here, though. Is he saying, okay, I'm still okay, I'm going to try to take this engagement. Do I need upgrades? Do I need to raid? Do I need to go find some eco damage myself? The problem is just, you're up against China, which is a civilization that they usually make units so quickly and so in such mass that they will reinforce in their base, especially against only 7 horse archers.
Yeah, I mean, a little raid here could go a long way, especially if Wham isn't able to mobilize any units against this quickly. There's quite a few exposed vills there, and I guess that's kind of the hope, is that you get a really good raid and maybe Wham just doesn't notice for a moment, but we do see the conversion potentially coming in. Wham immediately noticing, does put the relic into the pagoda.
And these wheel...
That's a lot of vills migrating.
But they're migrating quickly because they've got the fast shoes on. They've got their little carts they're pushing in front of them, and they are running so fast, actually. I'm very surprised. Those horse archers are not catching up with them.
Yeah, he's in the Yuan dynasty, right? So he's got the move speed on all of his units, and that's, what, 149? That's a pretty fast move speed for the vills. They've got their Crocs on, their Nikes. They're ready to go. Wham coming into the wood line once again, and this is Starflark's only source of wood, right? So he's got to keep that alive somehow. Meanwhile, the horse archers getting picked off completely at this stage, so the raid attempt really didn't land for Starflark. And now, once again, trying to build up this force of man-at-arm, knight, archer, horse archer.
Well, just like you said, with the dynasty, it doesn't feel like he can make anything that will bring him back into this. The problem is, with all that movement speed, the horsemen, you know, you saw, they were zooming around the map, and the horse archers are just not able to catch them vills either. So it does feel a little bit harder on that side. Oh, you even see these archers. They've got the fastest boots in all of town. He does potentially take a pretty good fight here, but the reinforcements are behind this. And lancers, they do not take kindly to anyone touching their archers.
The re-engagement from Wham, he's going to be charging forward. The units Okay, just taking a little poke fight there. It looked like he could have... I was thinking he might be able to just commit there. He's got the Barbican to support him. Low HP units could be garrisoned to help add just a little bit of arrow fire without going down. The army from Starflark on the retreat. The Man-at-Arms just kind of sitting there, not really bringing too much to the table yet. I'm not sold by the Man-at-Arm play yet.
And just that mobility trade-off is probably the hardest thing that you have, and especially fights like this. You can see now with the Barbican supporting, these boys are getting picked off pretty quickly, and those ranged units are not going to be long for this world, and the Barbican will just keep firing at them. And that's what I absolutely love to see. I saw the Barbican just target firing some of these ranged units as well, but it might have just been auto. Now the Men-at-Arms is the next victim. And this army is just growing in size, while this one is slowly getting picked off.
Yeah, Wham, I'm surprised by his, like, reluctance to give this up. I think he could just afford to let this go down, back up, and let his economy do the talking for a minute, right? He's got a sizable lead, and these trades aren't really going super well fighting into the low mobility Man-at-Arms. He could sort of continue with these raids and back up on the center and probably win fights defensively much more. Oh, I don't think he needs it. He's got the mass here. He's got a lot of crossbows in the mix too now. Wham does 10 crossbows in that army. So the Man-at-Arms, consider them dealt with. And Starflark gonna be tapping out of game 2 here. This is Bo5, right? So Wham looking to clean this up.
It looks like Wham. Ooh. It looks like Wham made this. He made it quickly. He made it quick for us so that we can get into his next game, he says. Now, Starflark, I feel like this type of game is exactly what shows the difference between the top, let's say the top 6 and the top 16. Because a lot of people ask on Reddit and in stream chats usually, what is the difference between these top players and a Conqueror 3? And I think if you look at how Wham is playing against Starflark, Starflark is still 20 times better than your average Conqueror 3. And Wham, he's just showing that for someone with that experience, with that level of skill, he's making this look like his game. He's been practicing for this, and nothing is going to take him down now. So Wham definitely coming in here and winning quite convincingly against Starflark. But this performance up until now makes me excited about Starflark. I want to see what Starflark brings to us in the next 6 months. Do we see him in the top 16 at one of the EGC events? Do we see him for any other potential qualifiers where he gets in there? So definitely excited to see what Starflark has on the table. Now, we do have our last matchup, or based on the bracket, we have our matchup, Lancaster versus JD. What do you think in general, just about the civs? Let's go.
In general, just about the civs? Well, I think it's interesting, right? I think, JD can struggle, I feel like, against the early game, like just dealing enough pressure at times. You didn't used to say that about a JD, but I think with a lot of the changes recently, I felt, at least when I'm playing, that just feels like it can be really hard to put like really offensive pressure right from the get-go. And I think that could be that, at least that's my struggle when playing with JD. So I think that could be a kind of a tricky matchup into Lancaster, where part of the best way of taking out Lancaster is being kind of hyper aggressive, almost to an extreme, right? So we'll see how this goes for Starflark. Yeah, I'm curious to see.
Well, Lancaster is one of the civs that we've been seeing be so versatile. We've seen barracks, we've seen a lot of Dark Age spearmen, we've seen feudal age aggression, we've seen an absolute weird Ilscard rush, and they've all worked in their own capacity. So I'm sure that there's an optimal way, but as the civilization is still quite new, I think people are also still finding out what is that real optimal way of surprising your opponent. Winston, do you think there are a few strategies that we haven't discovered with Lancaster yet?
I think there's strategies undiscovered.
Yes.
I don't think it's so much like broad stroke strategies. I think people have basically tried every strategy. I think it's more like more nuance. I think there's a lot of details with like the build order with Lancaster when you're playing it, right? Like exactly when do you stop building new manners? Like, do you have to like phase out aggression or like phase into more aggression? Like the age up timings and choices seem like pretty dynamic still. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like nuance to how you play it, which I think is where I would say the strategic unknowns still are for the vast majority of players, right? Like the exact details of the build orders, right? But like strategies, I think people have kind of keyed in on what's the best, right? There's a couple like really solid options, right?
Yeah, I can definitely see how players have been experimenting, and I'm loving it.
Yes.
But also, guys, we're gonna go into the game, but I want to talk about Hobbelas after this. So get yourselves ready. Let's hop on.
Oh. Bubbles.
Oh, Winston, Hobbelas. Tell me about the thought process behind a good Hobbela player. How do you feel about Hobbelas?
I feel they're a little weak right now.
Interesting.
Personally. I feel like maybe a little underexplored, but I think personally I feel like they're a little weak.
They're definitely a unit that comes out with a surprise, I feel like. But I can see what you say about them. That makes sense. No, I do see barracks on both sides, which is what I'm showing you guys on screen here as well. A little bit of Dark Age action from both of them. I would love to see how JD decides to get involved here, but this could just be a normal deer pushing situation or a deer denial situation. But as we can see, Wham is sending his spears straight to his enemy. So the problem is for Starflark, he's going to need to keep making spears as long as Wham is making spears, because once that gold gets shut down, he's a little bit cooked.
Yeah, things are gonna get interesting here, right? And it's always kind of good to do against the French civs, the early night civs, right? JD and French, right? Like just having that massive spears on the field kind of preemptively handles their strong landmark option going to feudal. So it sort of feels good to do this no matter what your opponent does when you're playing against French or JD. So curious to see how long Wham commits to the spears, but you really don't feel bad going at it for a while, forcing this archers early feudal. You kind of know what's going to happen, right?
When you get this many units on your side of the map, you also know exactly what deer shenanigans you should be expecting. The thing is now, Starflark realizes, hey, there's more spears here than I've accounted for, at least initially. And he's going to need to start making more. And we can see that now. He's made another one. I felt like he was almost ready to stop here, but because you can see the barracks being idle here and there. And he doesn't know when Wham is stopping as well, right? So for him, the number is unknown. And as long as he keeps seeing them, he's going to need to keep making them. He does stop for a second now. He needs to get that extra bit of wood to try and go on the gold. JD now moving towards the gold. We'll see if she is going to be able to get all she needs, but it does look like Wham has slowed down a bit here, going for his own age up pretty soon, as we can see him now having 3 on gold.
Yeah, building another spear, though. It's interesting. Starflark got a couple of really good engagements there, and Wham going to try and keep things alive to get a little more damage out, and with the extra spear from Starflark, I think he's got a solid option. He's able to hold back the flood here, and yeah, like you said, it's really interesting with initiative and being the person on the other opponent's map is you can kind of decide the pace, right? And you can strategize for that pace, but is he just gonna grab the deer? Okay.
Yes. I was about to say,
gonna mill the deer.
It feels like he was about to run out of food as well, and the scout is still pretty far away with the food. So him not having that food is probably going to lose him the game much faster than if he, lets this happen and keeps playing it out. Because if he kept making spearmen here, this would not last him into feudal. Even with the deer, the sheep coming back here, he's just trying to get every single sheep he can. Now JD is getting the gold, spearmen are getting into position, but Wham has 6 of them now. She smacks back pretty heavily though. Wow, Iron Fist right here. And she heals back up.
Yeah, she's ready to go, man. It's interesting keeping her here. You want her kind of near where the spears are going to fight, right? So I'd almost imagine going to the deer, but interesting. Well, I'm going to just try and poke in here. Does have 5 spears now. One's quite low. It should go down there. And there's that little bit of XP. It's going to mean JD levels up a little bit faster, but pulling a Vil in front of JD means that Vil is likely going to just go down unless... Oh, JD with the block.
And she's
JD
fierce,
is just
Winston.
like behind me. Yeah, she's like behind me.
Now,
there you go.
This
XP
fight
for JD is good.
bloodbath, actually. And you can see, I'm trying to show you guys the vision here. Wham, this is all he sees. The problem is when you kill the deer in the early stages, you don't know this is happening. You don't know that the deer are being eaten. And I think that is maybe just the smallest little thing that can slip by you if you don't keep an eye on every single deer pack that you end up killing. Because now this is a free pack that he's never going to find out about unless that scout goes back and sees something for himself. The scout now running around with the sheep. We do see more guys on the food rallied, but Lancaster Castle is coming on out, and we'll see what the next play is here. Now, he's got 3 on stone, 2 more building the mining camp. I mean, the Dark Age was pretty long, so the resources will be stacking up pretty quickly. Now, let's see what Wham decides to do with this, because now he's got a few spears. He's already forced a delay from Starflark, and now the question is just who is going to be the aggressor? Because I still feel like this is on Starflark. Starflark still needs to be the aggressive one, because Lancaster loves sitting back and getting those manners up.
Yeah, especially with these Egypt time differentials. I mean, it's something we didn't really talk about here, but Wham really made sure to make good use of the sheep bonus. He stayed on a sheep early game and get a much faster Egypt. Like, this is significantly faster, and having to dedicate the 5 vills to it means, I don't know, Wham's just going to be able to build a few manners, almost like inner quits for free here, compared to if none of the Dark Age shenanigans happened, right? Like, in which case, oh, you have like a knight there. So this whole Dark Age, I think, really did work out in his benefit. Also, Starflark on the map here still has exposed vills, but there was the walk time, so everything there was a bit slower. So you could make an argument that for right now, the economy might be slightly better for Starflark because he is on the deer, but we're about to have a 3rd manor drop in just a few moments.
And
And that might be the stopping point for now.
Yeah, him only needing 2 or 3 on food. He was on 2. I was going to say he had 2 on food for so long. Just tells the tale of Lancaster. They're not too worried about that type of investment because most of their villagers can just do the work for getting out the manors. Now, with leaving these guys onto stone, though, we are probably going to see the 6 manors in feudal. I say this, and then he pulls off that extra 1.
Maybe.
Interesting.
Maybe. We just built the 3rd one. I'm not sure. Like, it'd be a while to get there, and it'd be a pretty big investment, and you know that there's units probably on the way, right? I'd be surprised if Starflark doesn't add any knights. I mean, maybe not feeling like it's the best investment right now. Looks like Starflark's going to be thinking TC, actually, to counter this investment, which he did just scout. So, interesting stuff.
He is going to be seeing what is cooking on the side of Wham, though, and we're about to see if he does click up for the... Oh, he did.
Oh, he did.
Oh, he did get the upgrade. My goodness.
Yeah, I think he might understand that it's a TC build. I'm not sure if he scouted the stone yet, but it might just be intuition that like, oh, it's going to be like a boom game for a minute.
The question he's got to ask... He just has to ask himself, what is my opponent going to be investing in that I need to shut down? Or am I going to get punished for being a little bit greedy? And this feels like a little bit of a confident play. He does feel confident enough to do it. This looks like a 6 mana play, because you can see here with the wood now, he's pulled off of wood. But it's just going to be enough for 3 manners. JD, though, a little bit overextendy, especially when you're up against these villagers. They can fire back. The thing is, she does go back and heal. So she will not be too unhappy with this. But with him pulling off of wood, I'm foreseeing just that extra set of manners into the Castle Age. Because when you get to that point, it is just so strong in forcing your opponent to stay and make units, which possibly could be an amazing ploy here. I was about to say, where are they going? But even getting a TC this far forward and Wham seeing this, oh, is he going to kill the villager? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, 1 HP in a dream. Oh, he's running. He's running. Get out of there. No, down he goes. Down he goes. Yeah, he really ran for his life there. Cinema. Yeah, poor guy. You know, I would just agree with you. I think this game is going to snowball pretty quickly. I think the choice for the TC was somewhat interesting, maybe a bit predictable from JD at that stage, right? JD really does kind of feel like you need decent economy to really make use of a lot of the bonuses, but it's a bit scary, like... Just giving that much space to Lancaster when the Egypt was so much faster. It feels bad, I think, for Starflark.
Now, when I see something like House of Lancaster on this much gold, I usually ask myself, okay, what am I going to do to handle this? And with the lack of knights Maybe the answer is to just not invest too much into the feudal and go castle yourself, according to Starflark. But look at this, these guys are diving so far, and the scout will go down alongside all these spears too. He's got a few knights to protect him now. But this is a lot of idle
he's
time.
just using the spears under the TC. That's really something he couldn't afford to do, especially with the Demi-Lancer threat. Like, I kind of felt like keeping the spears alive would kind of maybe keep you alive in this game, but now with the third tech done, by the way, so Wham could now go all the way up to 9 manners. And then you have the Demi-Lancers are an option. Once he hits castle, they get the shadow upgrade, so they get a little bit stronger. I think you're gonna regret not having those, 6 spears
And
in just a moment.
Him now going for archers, though, does make this give it a little bit of a question mark, because those archers are going to melt against anything that comes his way. Now, we have 18 on food and 11 on gold, so it would not surprise me if he does go for a castle, but even if he does, it doesn't make sense in what sense he gets something out of it. Usually with a civilization, you want to go castle if you get something strong out of that. Right now, he doesn't have an answer that comes out of castle. And he's not constantly producing units. He's trying to remake some of those spears, making a few archers as well. But this just leaves that big question mark of what now? And more manners are now being added.
Yeah, this is up to 9. Oh no, this is the 8th manor, right? And then we'll get a 9th very shortly. Yeah, this is really tricky, I think, for Starflark. Like, feels like none of the bonuses have really worked out, right? Like, JD's not getting experience, right? We're kind of like halfway to castle, but not able to afford it because we made some military units, but didn't really get any value from them. I know it sounds being really critical, but it's just like, thinking about it from this perspective, like what... It's like almost like every little micro decision has added up to kind of a lot of, like, the loss here kind of being on the walls, right? Like, Wham has just gotten everything he's wanted for not too much effort, right?
And now
the White Tower here going to secure the 8K even.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. He gets what he wants, and this is a big thing to want. The thing about this White Tower, it's not just about the gold he gets, it also protects the area of the manor. So if you're looking for a hole to push through, you're going to be stuck between a lot of firing houses and a White Tower where your army can easily retreat to. Now with the knights here, we do see he's cleaned up a villager with one of these knights. The problem is, he might get another one. But House of Lancaster, they only need 10 farms. They've got the buildings already. At that point, the matchup becomes a lot harder. We do see the knights coming all the way here, but with those handful of spears, they're going to be able to shut down some of these knights, but he does take down 2, or at least 1 victim with him.
Yeah, I mean, Starflark does have a pretty big villager lead, but we'll see if he's able to translate that. So that we will see the guild hall now, which, like you said, immediate value, not much there from these landmarks with JD, unless you already have a Night Mass, right? And then the Institute kind of gives you that military tempo here. But yeah, with no knights on the field, doesn't really feel like a solid option to try and get Royal Bloodlines early. So guild hall is going to be the play. Playing more into that macro game, but Lancaster hits a really strong timing in Imp, and we've seen it done before. We've seen Wham go for this before. We already see the macro looks like that's what Wham is aiming for, right? You mentioned he secured that 8K with the White Tower. He's just going to wall up the side, those Wham walls. He's just going to wall up the side. We can see him getting some of those infantry upgrades. Looks like we're going to see some pretty potent stuff coming out pretty soon. The Wind Guard.
Seeing a Wind Guard coming through. The Wind Guard, we just keep saying the Wind Guard because this thing is the winner of games right now. With the Lancaster Castle, he's also just getting all those Demi-Lancers he needs. And Starflark might be thinking, oh, I'm just going to go fast imp myself, considering this. But again, making another archer against someone who's about to pump out 11 veteran Demi-Lancers. And if he keeps these things safe, they could just do a little bit of raiding, force your opponent to make units, and then you are going to be able to just use those Imperial Age ones the moment you hit that age up. And he is so close to hitting it. I don't think he's going to be taking any big risks with these, because they are going to be just as powerful in a little while. And Starflark is going to need a hot moment to get to Imperial himself. We see the food that he's gotten has been the deer out here on the map, and now he wants to go for that 8K as well. But he doesn't realize which boys are coming to visit.
Yeah, this is going to be a painful moment here. especially if we do get that raid after Wingard. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. Right, these drills and the hunt are going to be taken out. Interestingly, Starflark investing in all these eco upgrades here, right? Like we're getting the second wood upgrade, the second gold upgrade. Like I find that a little surprising given the state of the game, right? But maybe Starflark feels a little more confident and has a plan for dealing with the onslaught that's about to come. The Wingard going up. I don't know if these ecotechs are going to pay off in time for staying in the game. I don't know. Just putting it bluntly, right? Does have equal military for now.
He does have some units though, and the boys do stop the age up. That's going to mean that even though those demi-lancers are doing work, they're going to take a while before they become elite. Now, with those two knights, he does need to be careful. We do see the demi-lancers raiding away. There's a few bodies on the floor. They are suffering, but definitely going to be making their way out with a smile on their face.
Oh, here's the dive. I mean, potentially just trying to deny the Wingard altogether, hoping there's not enough military, but the Vills can just hop into TC. It was a really smart placement from Wham to put the Wingard right next to his TC here, because, yeah, it's like, and this is where it's weird, right? Like, Starflark has his TC, has all these eco upgrades, but no military. It's kind of awkward. He's going to be torching this, but I don't think he can stay here for forever. I mean, maybe he can. Maybe he can just sit here.
He can't stay forever because of the yeomen that are about to pop out. But yes, in a perfect world, it does look like he would have been able to maybe torch this thing down, but the reinforcements would be arriving. You know, that's the wonderful thing about the Lancaster Castle. It will just keep making units, and now a whole swarm of yeomen has been summoned of the veteran variety.
Yeah, I mean, it's an expensive batch to produce, right? I think it just sort of shows how ahead Wham's economy is still at this stage, even with the 20 bill advantage Starflark has. There's still a pretty sizable difference in total resources collected. Wham just sort of getting away with everything, it feels like, and now the Wingard going to go up finally, and big cleave from Jean, but is it going to be enough? Not quite. The lead upgrade is in on those Demi-Lancers, and they are back to defend. They're going to get around the backside of these archers and take them out.
And now there's no type of unit that Starflark can make that can make this reasonably viable, because these guys are just going to go through absolutely everything you put their way. Veteran Royal Knights now running for their lives because they know if they turn around, they are just going to be running into those handful of spears as well. We do see the pings all around the map, elite Demi-Lancers here at the back, and he has chosen the garrison command, so lots of spearmen are going to be joining this fight as well.
Mm-hmm. Really solid, especially when you see your opponent going for so many knights, but we'll see. Yeah, this is going to be tricky. The upcoming fight here is going to be pretty one-sided, I think.
Getting a strong serve out like Lancaster in this matchup definitely feels good, but Wham read this game perfectly in that sense. He knows what the strengths are. And yes, you're up against that 2TC, but you're up against a civilization that definitely struggles for food, and you know they've depleted quite a bit of what was on the map already. So that slowdown that they have in Castle Age just because of the food sources, you already know you might be able to survive that and sit back and let the economy do the thing. Oh, these poor guys. They're just trying. Man's barely taking any damage.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, like, I think back to, like, the early feudal age, right? And it almost seemed like Starflark's second TC was, like, a reaction and less of a plan, right? Tricky. It's tricky when that's how the game's going, and with all these villas on the run, I don't see Starflark staying in this game much longer. His villager advantage is, like, really the only thing he could really hope for, and even that is starting to dwindle.
And there's a big
large army though.
Yes, there's a blob coming as well. Like, yes, he is having a lot of units here, but they're about to run into some elite spearmen as well. And even though the archers do pretty well against spearmen, in these numbers, they do somehow walk past a lot of the time. And we see there are still more coming. And that's just the beauty of this landmark right now. They just get to keep producing. You can see he's right-click the TC so that he is going to be able to just burn it down and get that advantage that Starflark has, burn to the ground. Oh.
Goodbye. It's God. Yeah, Wham's in a commanding position now, especially with this TC going down. There's nothing in the front to really defend this base, so He's going to have to take a fight against this. He's going to have to bring everything back. Or is he just thinking about counter-raiding with the Knights? Nah, he's got to bring him home. Oh, indecisive. Where do we go?
Little bit
Where
of
are we
this,
going?
little bit of that.
And in the end, you get nothing, right? You got to make a choice. Oh, geez. So now he's going back again. Okay. I mean, the game is feeling dicey.
Those
He
horses.
can't take a fight yet. That fight isn't going to work, right? Like, he's going to lose the fight. That's why he's indecisive, right? Is he can't actually beat that many spears, that many elite spearmen just yet.
Yeah, stuck between a rock and a hard place as those demi-lancers are just running around at the back of the base. He stands here looking at those manners, thinking about the pain they have caused him, and they honestly, pulling out their sticks, they're about to go look for some damage. But House of Lancaster, they are not really going to be letting him get too much. Now, these guys will be getting back in here. I do see my other screen is raiding at the front. Spearman at the front, raid at the back. What does Wham not have?
Yeah, he's got everything. I mean, he's losing a couple bills on the backside of this, idling quite a lot now in his main TC. Doesn't feel the best, right? Especially because he has really no answer just home right now. The conversion, though, going to be attempted. Wait. Oh. Okay, he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. But the fight in the middle of his base, he had enough archers to sort of deal with a lot of the spearmen, but the yeomen, still, without the knights here to really clean this up, it's actually almost a bit of a shame. It looked like Starflark might have had enough to clean this fight decisively. If the knights could come and collapse back on the yeomen, it could be a really solid way to clean up Wham's army.
And it does
But
look
where are
like
the knights?
they are making their way back, but at the same time, there's another raid happening at the top here. There's just so much happening. The money shot hitting all the archers from the top here. And JD is getting a lot of experience, though. She's loving it, but is she going to be getting enough? More spearmen problems from every direction, but the knights have arrived, and now they will be collapsing. But with all the pinging going on, Wham is just keeping him occupied.
Yeah, those two demi-lancers getting just so much value throughout this whole time, and just these small 2-unit raids just to keep Starflark on his toes. Like, when you don't have any like defenses like keeps or TCs to really help, or even like many outposts at all to really hold some of these positions. I mean, that was a really good cleanup from Starflark. Remember, he is an age down, and Wham does have quite a few elite upgrades on those units, so it was an impressive hold, right? Like, you're getting a lot of these spearmen out, but you're just sort of throwing them into an archer mass from JD. Can be tricky to get full value, but here comes another wave of demi-lancers, a couple hobbies in the mix.
These Overlaws, they are just so fast. But with the demi-lancers, they're just going to break everything in half. You can see those villages just collapsing on impact. And now Wham sets off the alarm. Okay. Oh, yes. I have these prelates that are sort of monks that are standing idle. Let me go put them on some sacred sites. And still just raiding every single side. More villages in peril. More villages going down. Now the counter villages are equal. But don't forget, guys, we've got extra villagers packed in here. They don't produce gold just yet, though.
Yeah, delaying that scootage upgrade. Yeah, it's interesting. The Vill count, that used to be a strong advantage for Starflark, right? It used to be, he had like 20, 30 more Vills almost, right? But these raids, he just hasn't been able to keep up with them. And he's just been taking losses in a lot of spots where it's just Wham, maybe just a bit superior in the APM here, right? Able to take more engagements, more effective engagements at least. All over the map, able to deal with the raids.
It does look like we're going to be getting a counter raid, but this is just to try and equalize something. The problem is just that something is really hard to find when there's, again, another raid at the back of your base. And these villages are constantly under duress, and even though they will get cleaned up, the thing is, Wham gets these for so much cheaper. And surprise, surprise, there's another spearman raid coming.
Yeah, Wham has killed 50 Vills. Right? I think that's kind of the star of the show here, is the 49 workers, right? That's crazy, right? That's a lot of Vill kills. Now, picking up the sacred sites, he has 4 of the relics. Wham has just played this mid-game really well, using the tools available to him in a really effective manner, and it's just working.
They are cleaning up everything they can. With these Royal Knights, they're trading pretty well. Like you said, this is still a Castle Age Starflark. But guys, if you look at the income per minute, we can see, it already tells us the tale. The middle of nowhere farms coming out when you're already being raided this hard. It does feel very tough. JD, though, loving the experience, but nothing she makes will make this easier for him. Starflark's not able to catch up in villages just yet, as the raids just continually keep going. You can see now a few farms around the TC here, but every little bit of resource is going into spearmen instead of getting villages produced as well. There's a third TC now trying to catch up to this economically.
Things are looking rough for Starflark here as he has to retreat back into this kind of north corner of the map. Able to keep some villas alive in the south still, looking to maybe wall off larger sections is Wham with some stone walls on the left. But JD gonna get taken out at the start of the fight, meaning the fourth tier is likely far, far away. Oh. And we heard the synchronized shot go off and take out so many units of Starflark, and down he goes. Just couldn't handle the flood. Man, Wham played that really well.
Wham did, but I want to take a second and just point out Starflark here, guys. Let's hop on back. So Starflark, honestly, doing fantastic. I feel like Starflark, I was trying to show there at the end with him being on the sacred side. While all of this is going on, Starflark is still counter-raiding. Starflark is still trying to decap the sacred sites. This man is being overwhelmed by one of the best in the world, and he's still able to push back here and there. Still able to get a few villager kills. Absolutely amazing play by Starflark. I'm really impressed with what he did here, and I really can't wait to see more of him.